6 years after breaking up with my ex-girlfriend, I saw her again at a class reunion, walking arm in arm with her younger boyfriend. She publicly announced their engagement to everyone, and instantly, the private room erupted with cheers and jeers. Everyone was waiting to see how I, the ex-boyfriend, would react to this embarrassing situation. But I didn't make a scene. Instead, I calmly transferred $1,000 as an engagement gift. My ex-girlfriend suddenly lost her composure. She pulled me aside and whispered urgently, "It's been 6 years. Isn't that long enough for you to get over it? I'm just putting on a show with him to appease his family back home. After this, I'll marry you." Later, when she discovered I was already married with a child, she broke down in tears, desperately begging me to come back to her. In the private room, everyone was stunned when they saw me give the engagement gift. They hadn't expected this reaction from me, especially since they all knew how much I had once loved Olivia. In the past, I couldn't stand seeing her be intimate with Ethan. I would get insanely jealous, even if they only had a meal together. But soon the classmates, always eager for drama, started teasing and cheering again. Some praised me for being generous, while others admired my devotion. An ex-boyfriend giving $1,000 for his ex's engagement was quite a gesture. Amid the commotion, Ethan smiled smugly, his eyes flashing with triumph. Olivia, however, furrowed her brow, her eyes clouded with an unreadable expression. After a moment of silence, she pulled me aside again and whispered, "Jack, it's been 6 years. Isn't that long enough for you to get over it? Ethan and I are just going through the motions. His family back home is pressuring him to get married. This is the last time I'm helping him. After this, I'll marry you." Hearing Olivia say this made me laugh bitterly to myself. I had lost count of how many times I had heard her say these words in the past. Every time Olivia got close to Ethan, she would make empty promises to me, whether it was promising to cook for me or marry me. And every time, I would eagerly believe her. But now, I didn't want to accept the same empty promises anymore. We had broken up. Whether her relationship with Ethan was real or fake, what did it have to do with me? Thinking of this, I discreetly pulled my hand away and said coolly, "Olivia, we've broken up. You don't need to explain anything to me." Olivia was taken aback for a moment. Then her eyes immediately turned cold. "What do you mean, broken up? We've just been having a cold war these past few years, haven't we?" I found it laughable. Who has a cold war that lasts 6 years? The truth was, I had blocked and deleted her 6 years ago. I had even sent her a breakup email and moved all my belongings out of our shared apartment. If she had cared about me, even a little, she would have noticed something was wrong. Moreover, for the past 6 years, our mutual friends had all accepted the fact that we had broken up. It was only Olivia who was living in denial. Thinking of this, I didn't bother arguing further. I just gave a cold laugh and turned to leave. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have come to the class reunion at all. As soon as I left the private room, Olivia and Ethan immediately chased after me. Ethan ran ahead to block my way, putting on a fake concerned expression. "Brother Jack, why are you leaving so suddenly? It's a good class reunion. Are you still upset about what happened 6 years ago? If you're feeling guilty, I can apologize to you." He deliberately emphasized the words, 6 years ago. Hearing this, Olivia's face immediately darkened. She instinctively shielded Ethan behind her, glaring at me coldly. "Jack, why are you so petty? How can you still be holding a grudge over such a small matter?" I found it laughable. So, my life was just a trivial matter in Olivia's eyes? 6 years ago, just because Ethan said he was afraid of the dark and didn't dare go downstairs to buy medicine, Olivia abandoned me on the highway on our wedding day, nearly getting me killed by oncoming traffic. I trudged through a heavy snowstorm for 3 hours to reach the wedding venue. By the time I arrived, I was a complete mess and had to cancel the wedding in front of everyone, utterly humiliated. 6 years after I had been abandoned by Olivia, I caught a severe fever from exposure to the cold. During that time, Olivia never once came to see me. Her heart and mind were entirely consumed by Ethan. She even stayed overnight at his place, taking care of him as he played the victim. Ethan posted about it on social media, making me the laughingstock of everyone. That was the 99th time Olivia had chosen Ethan over me. It completely crushed me. I accepted a job transfer and moved to the States, staying away for 6 years. I knew Ethan was deliberately trying to provoke me by bringing up old wounds. In the past, I would have exploded in anger, but this time, he was in for a disappointment. I calmly responded, "There's nothing to be angry about. Olivia and I ended things 6 years ago. Besides, I'm doing well now." But Ethan, convinced I was still furious, continued his act. He pretended to be sincere, saying, "Brother Jack, don't misunderstand. My engagement to Olivia is just for show, to appease my relatives back home. If you're upset, I can cancel the engagement party." Before he could finish, Olivia interrupted, "No way, Ethan. I found it amusing." So, Olivia did understand that canceling a wedding last minute was embarrassing. Then why hadn't she thought about how embarrassing it would be for me back then? She knew abandoning me on our wedding day would humiliate me, yet she still chose to be with Ethan, leaving me to face an empty room full of guests alone. Sensing my disgust, Olivia faltered for a moment. She bit her lip and quickly softened her tone, saying, "Jack, Ethan needs me. I can't just ignore him." Ethan, playing the good guy, took off his engagement ring and handed it to me with fake sincerity. "Brother Jack, this ring originally belonged to you. Now that you're back, it should be returned to its rightful owner." He tried to appear noble, but it was clear he was just trying to show off. Olivia, looking at the ring, couldn't help but smile smugly. "Jack, remember, I had this ring specially designed for you." The truth was, Olivia had designed the ring for me, but I had never worn it. When Ethan said he liked it, Olivia had immediately given it to him, and he'd been wearing it ever since. I let out a cold laugh and tossed the ring into the nearby trash can. I don't want something that someone else has worn. With that, I turned to leave, no longer willing to waste any more words on them. As I started to walk away, Olivia's eyes flickered. She quickly ran up and grabbed my hand. "Jack, stop right there." But as she grabbed me, she was pricked by something. When she let go and looked, she was surprised to find a wedding ring glittering on my finger. "Jack, what do you mean by this? I've already agreed to marry you. What more do you want?" I remained cold. "Do whatever you want, but don't stop me from going back to my wife and child. Move aside." With that, I shook off Olivia's hand and turned to leave, but Olivia became anxious. "Jack, what do you mean? Explain yourself clearly." She was about to chase after me when Ethan suddenly pretended to collapse, clutching his head in pain. "Olivia, my head hurts so much," he groaned. Olivia immediately rushed to Ethan's side, her face full of concern. "Ethan, what's wrong? Did you drink too much earlier?" She then glanced at me, her eyes seeking my approval, but I found it laughable. Was she trying to explain herself to me? Before she could finish, I coldly interrupted. "Go if you want to. You don't need to ask me. Don't forget, we broke up long ago." Olivia was stunned, not expecting this reaction from me. In the past, I would have gone crazy with jealousy whenever she was alone with Ethan. But the reason I acted that way was because I loved her. Now, I didn't care who she was with. "Aren't you worried at all about me going to a hotel alone with Ethan?" Olivia asked, her voice quickening. I smiled coldly. "You're just my ex. Why should I worry about you?" Her face turned pale. She opened her mouth to say something, but was interrupted by Ethan's fake complaints about his headache. Olivia finally turned her attention back to Ethan, supporting him and giving me a cold look. "Jack, you said it yourself. Don't regret it later. Let's go, Ethan. I'll take you to the hotel." Olivia helped Ethan out, clearly trying to provoke me, acting intimate with him to make me jealous. But this time I didn't flinch. I turned and left, preparing to return to my wife and daughter. The class reunion was just a side event. The main purpose of my trip was to bring my family here for a vacation. I should thank Olivia. If she hadn't pushed me away 6 years ago, I wouldn't have met my wife, Emma, and we wouldn't have had our beautiful daughter, Lily. Emma and I met in Paris. At the time, I was a bit injured and wandering the streets, lost in thought, when I accidentally bumped into her. I quickly apologized, and after hearing what happened, not only did she not mind, but she also bought me a cup of hot milk tea. She comforted me, telling me that life was beautiful and encouraging me to look forward. We exchanged contact information, and she listened to my grievances. I shared my life with her. Unlike Olivia, Emma always greeted me with a smile, always gentle and kind. With her encouragement and companionship, I slowly moved past the shadow of my failed relationship. Soon, we became a couple, and we had our precious Lily. Over the years, my wife and daughter have been my motivation to work hard and keep moving forward. Just thinking about seeing them soon lifted my mood, and I couldn't help but walk a little faster. However, as luck would have it, when I arrived at the hotel, I ran into Olivia and Ethan. They were staying at the same place. Olivia was stunned when she saw me. "Why are you here?" she asked. Ethan immediately tried to stir trouble. Brother Jack must have realized his mistake and followed us here to apologize. Olivia's eyes lit up with joy, a small smile tugging at her lips. But her tone remained arrogant. "Jack, weren't you acting all tough earlier? Do you regret it so soon? You even followed us here. Well, considering your good attitude and admitting your mistake, if you just apologize to me, I might forgive you." I could only feel disgust as I listened to her self-centered words. I laughed coldly. "Don't flatter yourself. I just happened to be staying here." Olivia didn't believe me. She snorted. "This is a couple's hotel. You're staying here? Who are you trying to fool?" Before I could reply, the door behind me opened and Emma stepped out. She smiled warmly at me. "Honey, you're back." "Honey." Olivia froze, her voice trembling. When she saw the matching wedding rings on our fingers, her face turned pale, and she looked extremely uncomfortable. A wedding ring. "Jack, you really did get married." But soon, Olivia regained her cold composure. She looked at Emma, standing next to me, and sneered. "So, you're Jack's wife? You don't look like much. So, what if you're married? How long have you been together? Jack, and I have 18 years of history. How could you possibly compare? Jack loves me the most, and only me. He left the country back then, because we fought. He found you out of spite. You're just a rebound. Otherwise, why would he come back home for no reason? It's obviously for me. Let me tell you, Jack coming back to me is just a matter of time. If you're smart, you should leave now and save yourself the embarrassment of being dumped later." I was speechless, finding Olivia utterly ridiculous. Emma, though very angry, maintained her usual gentleness and good manners. She walked over to me, linking her arm with mine, claiming me, and then smiled graciously at Olivia. "Jack, and you are in the past now. I am his wife, and you're just an ex. You're not worth mentioning at all." Emma spoke with the gentlest tone, but her words cut deep. Olivia's face flushed red with anger, and she raised her hand to slap Emma. "You're just my replacement. Jack loves me the most. How dare you talk back to me?" Just as Olivia's hand was about to land on Emma's face, I stepped in, blocking it, and coldly slapped Olivia instead. "Olivia!" "That's enough." After the slap, I turned to comfort Emma. "Honey, are you okay? Did I hurt you?" Olivia, holding her cheek, looked at me in disbelief, her eyes filling with tears. "Jack, you hit me? You actually hit me for another woman? Is this how you repay me after I waited for you all these years? Do you know how I've spent these years?" Olivia stormed off, dragging Ethan behind her like a broken trophy. I couldn't help but smirk, amazed that Olivia still believed the world revolved around her despite everything that had transpired. I took Emma's hand and we walked away, returning to our hotel room. Emma, as always, remained calm even after the confrontation with Olivia. She looked at me with that warm, gentle smile that always melted my heart and whispered, "You handled it well, honey. Some people just don't know how to let go of the past." I kissed her forehead, reassuring her that she was my only concern now. But deep down, I knew Olivia wouldn't give up so easily. The next morning, while we were having breakfast at the hotel, Olivia showed up again, this time alone. She looked worn out but still carried that arrogant demeanor. Without hesitation, she sat at the table next to ours and started talking as if Emma wasn't even there. "Jack, we need to talk. We can't just leave things like this." Emma gently held my hand, encouraging me to ignore her, but Olivia persisted. "Do you think you can just erase me from your life so easily, Jack? We have a history. You owe me so much. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be the man you are today." Finally, Emma spoke, calm yet firm. "Olivia, I think it's clear that Jack has moved on. I don't see any reason for these constant interruptions." Olivia laughed mockingly, pointing at Emma as if she were some cheap imitation. "Moved on with you? Don't make me laugh. Jack will never forget what we had. No matter what he says, I'm the woman he'll always love." My patience snapped. I looked Olivia in the eye and said firmly, "Olivia, enough. I don't owe you anything. You had your chance and you threw it all away. I'm happy with my family, something you'll never understand. So please, leave us alone." But she didn't stop. Olivia abruptly stood up, slamming her hands on the table. "You think you can just discard me after everything I did for you? I sacrificed so much, and now you're here playing the perfect husband and father with her." Emma, though offended, kept her composure. "You didn't sacrifice anything. You sacrificed our relationship for Ethan. You sacrificed my dignity on our wedding day. You didn't sacrifice anything but my patience. And now what? You want more attention? An apology? You're not getting any of that." Before Olivia could respond, Ethan appeared in the restaurant, visibly uncomfortable. He grabbed her arm, trying to pull her away. "Olivia, what are you doing? Why are you humiliating yourself like this? He's made it clear he wants nothing to do with you. Let's go." Olivia yanked her arm away, pointing at Ethan with disdain. You're the reason for all of this. If it weren't for you, I never would have lost Jack. You promised me the world, but all you gave me was shame." Ethan, clearly embarrassed, tried to defend himself, but it was obvious he was tired of the situation. He left, abandoning Olivia there. Now alone, Olivia looked at me, her eyes filled with tears, but still carrying that manipulative glint. "Jack, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I was confused. I was young and immature. Please, give me another chance. I can be the woman you deserve." Emma, who had remained silent until now, spoke up, not with anger, but with a calmness that made her words even more cutting. "Olivia, I think what you need to understand is that the world doesn't revolve around you. You had Jack, but you chose something else. Now he's my husband, and nothing you do or say will change that." Olivia burst into tears, but I felt no pity. I knew it wasn't real regret, just frustration at not getting her way. I decided to put an end to this once and for all. "Olivia, this ends here. Don't contact me again. Don't speak to me. I have a life and a family. I hope you find peace someday, but it won't be with me." I held Emma's hand and we left, leaving Olivia behind, defeated. But as we walked through the hotel, I couldn't help but reflect on how much my life had changed for the better. Emma was everything Olivia never could be: kind, loving, and dependable. For the first time in years, I felt like I had finally closed that chapter of my life. When we returned to our room, Lily ran up to me with her innocent smile, and I realized I didn't need anything else in the world. I already had everything I could ever want. The following weeks passed peacefully. After the incident with Olivia, Emma and I enjoyed the rest of our trip with Lily, visiting beautiful places and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Olivia and Ethan didn't reappear, and I could finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that the weight of my past had been firmly left behind. Back home, I returned to my routine with my family. Emma continued to be my partner in life, always kind and supportive. Lily, with her innocent laughter, filled our days with joy. Every time I looked at them, I felt more grateful for the direction my life had taken. The past, with all its pain, no longer had any hold over me. One afternoon, while working in my office, I received an email from a familiar address. It was from Olivia. At first, I hesitated to open it, but I decided I needed to face it with maturity. The email was long, filled with apologies and regret. She wrote that she had reflected on everything and finally understood how much she had hurt me. She said she was trying to move on, but was still consumed by the pain of losing me. I read it all calmly, but instead of anger or resentment, I felt only emptiness. It was strange how someone who once meant so much could now feel so distant, so irrelevant. I closed the email without replying, knowing that giving her any response would only prolong something that needed to stay in the past. Months later, I heard rumors that Olivia and Ethan had broken up. It didn't surprise me. Their relationship had always been built on superficialities and manipulations. I also heard she was facing some difficulties, but I decided not to seek out any more details. What happened in her life no longer concerned me. I had my own family to care for and my own future to build. Over time, I realized it wasn't Olivia who needed forgiveness. It was me. I needed to forgive myself for allowing that toxic relationship to consume so much of my life and energy. When I finally did, I felt a lightness I had never experienced before. Today, when I look back, I see that everything I went through was necessary to bring me to where I am now. Emma and Lily are my world, my reason to keep growing and striving. The love we share as a family is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. It's genuine, honest, and built on mutual respect and trust. I don't know where Olivia is now or how her life turned out, but I hope in some way she finds her own peace. As for me, I have everything I've ever wanted: a loving family, a warm home, and the certainty that my past does not define who I am today. Sometimes life takes us down painful and winding roads, but I believe that in the end, everything falls into place as it should. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that true love doesn't bind, suffocate, or hurt. It sets you free. And it's that freedom I've finally found.